Well, good Monday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Justin Peterson, and it is time for another forecast update here at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and so as you can see by the stream topic here, the worst heat is here, but relief is coming. Again, the worst heat is here, but relief is coming. And so that's what we're going to talk about, mainly the relief aspect. When will this heat, this dangerous heat that nobody really wants, when are we going to see it finally start to go away? And so we're going to go on and talk about that, but we also have other stuff to talk about. Obviously, still heat concerns through midweek, isolated to scattered, maybe even afternoon thunderstorms each day this week, as well as some severe weather currently going on right now. Hottest conditions expected tomorrow, and a large-scale trough approaches late week, bringing increased storm chances. All of that we're going to go in and talk about, but first, if you have not hit the like button yet, please go in and do so. Right now, we've had around a good 7 people tune in so far tonight and 6 likes. So far we're doing good, but more people are going to show up. We need more likes. So go and hit the like button if you have not already. Also hit the share button. Share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, people that you don't talk to regularly because that's also free. And then subscribe. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. So what's currently going on? Well, in terms of the live radar, we're looking good from the Midlands to the Low Country. Maybe a little bit of a shower going on over here in the Petey areas towards Scranton and Coward, South Carolina. But if you look on over here inside of the upstate, what do we see? Severe thunderstorm activity. Currently moving its way in towards Salem, South Carolina, Sunset, Rocky Bottom, as well as Pumpkintown. And then also in Cleveland, South Carolina, there is a severe thunderstorm warning right now. What is it for? Nothing, actually. Oh, no, there it is. Okay, I don't know what happened to it, but 60-mile-per-hour winds, and it looks like that the hail is not really the main threat, but the hail never really was the main threat with this system for tonight. Again, 60-mile-per-hour winds. If you were here this morning for this morning forecast update, you should know that this should not be a concern or really a surprise to anybody. And it really shouldn't be that much of a concern either. We've seen severe thunderstorm warnings like this. Make sure that you're inside. Make sure that, obviously, that you're not trying to stay close to windows or anything like that, because this just seems like a 60-mile-per-hour severe thunderstorm warning that we've seen multiple times. So nothing to be too concerned about, but you shouldn't be too shocked if you were here this morning. Now, in terms of rainfall throughout the entire U.S., we do have some rainfall going on throughout the New England areas, go over into the Mid-Atlantic, even over into the Ohio Valley, the Central Appalachians, through the Deep South from Georgia to Alabama to Mississippi, Florida, Louisiana, all receiving rainfall with some severe weather going on in areas of Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia. We have some more severe weather in Nebraska going over into South Dakota, and even Montana, Minnesota, all receiving severe weather activity, maybe even some flooding going on in Arizona and New Mexico. Now, in terms of cloud cover, we are seeing some cloud cover really just in the upstate. We probably do see some in other areas, not including the upstate. Like if I look outside right now, outside my window, I don't see much in terms of cloud cover right now, even though it does look a little bit more on the kind of looks kind of almost hazy at a point up in the sky, but for the most part, it's not like complete clouds. Cloud cover isn't really showing itself too much down here, but if in the upstate, cloud cover definitely is showing. And if we want to take a look at this cloud cover for the future, we push this over into around 11 p.m. over into tonight, and that cloud cover definitely will start to move its way down towards the south and east. You go over to around 4 or 5, maybe even close to around 7 o'clock in the morning. Cloud cover activity again moves its way from the upstate to the Midlands to the PD, Grand Train areas. I mean, you are definitely seeing cloud cover tomorrow morning throughout most of the regions of the U.S. Now, well, U.S., South Carolina, pretty much same thing, because there is a bunch of cloud cover going on throughout the U.S. too. But for South Carolina, you continue this all the way through over into around 1 p.m., going all the way through into the afternoon hours tomorrow. And cloud cover activity does go through areas of the Midlands, still going through areas of the PD over inside of the low country areas into around 8 o'clock p.m. And then as we move all the way into Wednesday morning, going into Wednesday afternoon, more cloud cover continues its way through for the entire state. So cloud cover definitely seems to be on the upward trajectory here in terms of the state here and a statewide scale. Now, in terms of current temperatures right now, we're talking about 91 in Somerville, 88 Charleston, 90 Beaufort, and even 88 in Georgetown, 85 in Myrtle Beach, and 88 in Conway, 95 in Columbia, 90 Greenwood, Anderson, 90 in Clemson, as well as 88 in Greenville, 87 Spartanburg, as well as Gaffney, 88 York, and 89 in Rock Hill. I do think that there's a little bit of a heat bias here, just because, I mean, is the actual real temperature right now in Columbia 95 degrees? Possibly not, but with the heat index values, that could definitely impact some of these temperatures a little bit to try and make it a little bit warmer than what it actually is. If I go in and check on Columbia right now, their official temperature is 92, so not too far off. I mean, 92 at 8 o'clock p.m. That is not too far off. But the heat indices probably can try to go in and move those temperatures up just a little bit more there. So a little bit of a heat bias, but still hot regardless. Still hot regardless. Now, in terms of air quality, throughout the entire state, I mean, a lot of us right now in that moderate risk of air quality, no matter if you're in the upstate, the Midlands, the low country, the PD areas, we are looking at a good amount of bad air quality that can impact us tonight. Now, not the worst, definitely not the best either. And if you look over near Myrtle Beach, you look over near Conway, the Horry County area, not really being so much inside of that moderate category. It's really only everybody outside of that. So if you're over in that area, you don't really have to watch for too much, but everybody else, just keep an eye on it for tonight if you're outside for a long period of time for that air quality. Low temperatures tonight, we're talking about 74 in Greenville, 74 Spartanburg, as well as 79 in Columbia, 78 in Orangeburg, as well as 81 in Charleston, 79 Georgetown, and 81 in Myrtle Beach, 77 Dillon, 78 also inside of Florence, and 81 in Hilton Head Island. Now, what about for your high temperatures for tomorrow? 96 in Greenville, 95 Lawrence, as well as 99 in Columbia, 99 also inside of Orangeburg, and 99 in Walterboro, 99 in Charleston, even 97 in Georgetown, Moncks Corner, 93 in Myrtle Beach, and 97 in Hilton Head Island. So it's going to be hot tomorrow. Midlands, Low Country, PD, Grand Strand, Upstate, doesn't matter where you are, it will definitely be hot tomorrow. Doesn't matter where you are. And what about those heat index values? What will these temperatures feel like? 111 in Moncks Corner, 113 in Walterboro, 116 in Hilton Head Island, 117 in downtown Charleston, 107 in Myrtle Beach, 109 in Georgetown, 108 Columbia. But then you move up to the upstate and you don't see as hot conditions. 99 in Lawrence, 100 Spartanburg, 101 in Greenville, 101 in Rock Hill, 101 in Anderson. These 2 days, both Monday and Tuesday, continues to be probably one of the hottest days that we've seen so far of the year. And 117, I don't know if we've seen a heat index value that high unless like one very isolated spot got up to that, maybe one day this summer. But in like a area like downtown Charleston where, not so isolated, that could really raise some areas of concern because 117 degrees, that is dangerous, dangerous heat. So I said it yesterday, I'm going to say it again today. Please, if you do not have to be outside this afternoon, this evening, whatever it may be, please do not be outside at this point, because if you have to step outside maybe for a second just to check something, that might be something that you have to do. Obviously do it, but do not be outside working at 2 to 3 o'clock p.m. Do not be outside, especially if you're in the low country areas, or especially if you're in the Grand Strand or the PD or the Midlands. The upstate has a little bit of leniency just because it's not going to be that hot, but still hot regardless, and I still would recommend you do not go outside during the hottest portion of the day. But if you have to get up to do any sort of yard work, I do it very, 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 very early or very, very late on into the evening, because as you just saw in Columbia at 8 o'clock p.m., 92 degrees at 8 o'clock p.m. So I'd recommend doing it in the morning when it's the coolest. But if you have to be outside, like you have no choice, you have to be outside when it is this hot, please make sure that you drink plenty of water. Please make sure that you check on neighbors. Please make sure that you check on pets, plants, and obviously, as I say, yourself, because you are the most important person to yourself. And so We don't want to see any bad stories of somebody who was outside saying that they didn't know what the risks were, didn't have any water or anything like that. And just, we don't want to see those stories. We do not want to see those stories at all. So please, please get outside early if you have to. Do not go outside working at 2, 3, 4, even at like 11 to 12 o'clock p.m. But that's just for today. This heat will continue as we move later on into the week. But this is only just, day 2 of the heat until we move later on into the week, until around Friday or Saturday. Now, in terms of rainfall, overall, total precipitation wise, hundredths of an inch to a tenth of an inch in areas like Dillon, Kingstree, Moncks Corner, Charleston, Walterboro, Hilton Head Island, even inside of Charleston, and then maybe even in Myrtle Beach, you have a tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch, and then in other areas around there, could see maybe a quarter of an inch to a half an inch. That's definitely possible, and maybe even the upstate could see some rainfall kind of scattered in here and there. But we're mainly kind of watching for that Low Country and Grand Strand area as we move over into the next 24 hours. Now, the crazy score, right now, it says it's at a 7. I'm kind of confused as of why, because it said that there's 0 alerts right now. Oh, there we go. Okay. 44. Moderate weather intensity statewide. Severe thunderstorm warning around 22 points is added on. And then we also have a severe thunderstorm watch for Greenville counties, Pickens counties, and Oconee counties as well. Those counties are under a severe thunderstorm watch. Right now, a 5% chance or less than a 5% chance of tornadoes, hail, and then a 70% chance of damaging winds. So we're not really looking at much right now in terms of tornado and hail, but damaging winds of up to 60 miles per hour is about to move through parts of the upstate in about the next 20 minutes or so, maybe even less than that, and it could continue. So 37 on the alerts tab, 7 on the conditions tab, just because, the upstate's really the only area where there's some rainfall going on. Other than that, everybody else is nice and calm right now. Now, for the SPC outlook for tonight, we still have that slight risk of severe weather up there in the very far upstate, of 15% risk of damaging winds. And if you're in the dark green, that is a 5% risk of damaging winds. And if you're in the light green, that is no risk of damaging winds at all. You just have a risk for maybe some strong winds to get going tonight. But like I said, I think once we're done with this system that's kind of moving through the upstate, I think we're going to be done for tonight. I don't really see too much of thunderstorm activity going on throughout any of these other areas, but we'll see what happens with it, obviously, and we'll take a look at the models to get a final say. Tomorrow, thunderstorms again are possible, and maybe not in the upstate or the Midland areas as much, but more in that southeastern area, Low Country, Grand Strand, Petey areas, even areas of the Midlands as well for tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, again, that same area, another risk of thunderstorm activity. Now, just because there's no risk of severe thunderstorms does not mean that a severe thunderstorm warning or two cannot take place. It definitely can. So do not let your guard down. Now, in terms of excessive rainfall, no excessive rainfall for tonight. Tomorrow, nothing. Wednesday, nothing. Thursday, nothing. Friday, though. Friday, good amount of the state has a risk of excessive rainfall from areas of Greenville to Rock Hill over into the Columbia area, Camden, Florence, Orangeburg, down into the Low Country areas. We do have a marginal risk of excessive rainfall. That is a 5% risk of flash flooding here. If you are in the green here, please make sure that you are paying attention for that flash flood threat on Friday. Again, please make sure that you pay attention for that flash flood threat on Friday. And now with all of that out of the way, let's go on real quick and take a look at the models. So we're going to start off here with the short term first, and we're going to move over towards the long term. We're going to start off here at 8 o'clock p.m. time, again, is at the bottom part of your screen. As we push this forward, we move later on into tonight, and we're going to move over to the 22Z. This was the latest updated one. Here at around 8 o'clock p.m., we push this forward, even by 10, 11 to 12 o'clock in the morning. There still could be some shower activity, still could be some thunderstorm activity trying to get going by around 12 a.m. But by the time we get to around, I think, 2 to 3 a.m., that's really going to calm down, and we're not going to really be seeing much anymore. We move over into tomorrow morning, going into noon tomorrow, and we're looking at nice dry conditions. Now, if we go in and take a look further than that, we're going to start off here at 12 p.m., push this forward all the way to around 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and you're not seeing a whole lot. You're really not. But then as we move to around 7 to 8 p.m., showers and storms start to develop from the Midlands to maybe areas of the Grand Strand to the Low Country, and we could definitely see some of these showers and storms bring in strong gusty winds, small hail. All of that's in the books for tomorrow. Now, as you go over into around 10, 11 to 12 o'clock in the morning, it doesn't really seem like it's going to be as much as we may see tonight, but there could still be some moisture going on as you move past midnight tomorrow night going into Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning comes into effect, and we're looking pretty good even as we move into the afternoon on Wednesday as well. Now, what's going on in terms of our long term future? So, this is around the 48-hour mark here, Wednesday, 2 p.m. We push this forward, and you don't see much in terms of rainfall either on Wednesday. Thursday comes in, we start to see something trying to develop, like a little low pressure developing going into Friday. But Friday is when things start to come in and try and hit the fan a little bit. Friday going into Saturday. So this is right here at Friday at 8 o'clock p.m. We see shower activity. We see storm activity going into areas of the Midlands and the Low Country and the PD and the Grand Strand areas in the Upstate. Doesn't matter. Friday is the day that we have that risk of isolated flash flooding, and you're already seeing it taken into account as we move into Friday night going into Saturday. We move over into Saturday morning, and things are still looking a bit active for us, but as we move into Saturday afternoon, again, another plume of moisture could try to move in, especially just due to those summer storms as well and the summer environment that we're going to have. Now, it does look like that this is when our cool down is going to try and come in, and we'll talk about the cool down in just a moment, but for right now, we're kind of just focusing on the moisture and the precipitation aspect of it. But if we move this even into Sunday, Sunday comes in and we have another low pressure, maybe try to move into the Atlantic a little bit and try to do something, but it kind of just stays off the coast most likely and then just continues to bring in a good amount of rainfall. So I will tell you this though. I will tell you this, if this scenario right here was to happen where we see a bunch of low pressure activity and then just the regular summer and thunderstorm activity that we already have been seeing, let's look and see how much rainfall we could potentially receive over this time frame. We take a look, and you see areas in Charleston, Berkeley County of up to around 4 to 5 inches of rainfall. Areas in Horry County getting up to 5 to 6 inches of rainfall. Areas in Colleton County going into Allendale counties with areas of up to 3 to 4 inches of rainfall. So this would be huge for the drought. Absolutely huge. Love to see this right here. Obviously not hoping for any sort of flash flooding, but with the drought that we're currently receiving right now, any rainfall with a couple of inches kind of added to it would definitely be appreciated. And I know a lot of areas still need the rainfall a lot. And so I definitely would accept this rainfall here if it was to happen. Now, it's still a deterministic model, so it's only one. So we can't really tell too much from that, especially since it's around 160 hours out. But even if we move forward through into next week, Monday, going into Tuesday onward, it looks like more areas of moisture comes in, and this could be a pretty active end to the month of August, even as we move into August the 30th. We now are so far into the future that we're moving into September now, because we are at the 17th now, so we actually have been halfway through August at this point, since around Saturday, or if not yesterday. So we have been kind of around halfway past the month so far. And so now we're kind of building into what's going to happen for the last half of the month going into the beginning of September now. That's how far we're getting into it now. And then as we take a look now over into around 384 hours out, that's way too far out, but we can look and see what the ensembles say. So what these ensembles do is it takes an average, doesn't really account too much in terms of flash flooding, but it does go on and takes the average amount of precipitation and totals from 51 different members from the GFS, and it puts it together into a composite of what we could potentially see. And so what you see here is maybe around 2 inches of rainfall up there in the upstate, maybe around close to 3 inches near the coastal areas. Not bad. Not bad for sure. And honestly, if this is an average right here, a lot of areas could see some beneficial rainfall. Some areas may not, but a lot of areas might. And so that's one thing that I'm kind of hopeful for here. Now, if you move over into the European model, the European still not the highest. It's still not trying to be the higher end here, especially for areas in the west. Now, I will say it shows a good amount over for that Grand Strand area and parts of the Low Country. Those areas need it the most, but the western areas going to the central areas don't really get too much rainfall. And so hopefully the GEFS is the right model to go off of and the European here is not. But, you never know what could happen. You could see the GEFS not succeed. You could see it start to decrease in terms of totals. You could see the Europeans start to increase in terms of totals. And the whole reason why we have this whole thing right here anyway is because of the high pressure that we've been talking about. And you may be asking, high pressure, what am I talking about? Well, yesterday we discussed the pattern and why in the world we haven't been seeing too much rainfall and why we're receiving this much heat and why we're receiving, all of this 120 degree plus heat index values, maybe 115, 117 plus heat index values. And so this is why. If we go on real quick and take a look at the bottom right side of the screen, you can see that we have a bunch of red down here. This red down here is a ridge. This is a ridge right here. This is blocking any sort of storm development and having it go up towards the north. That is why we are seeing a lot of shower activity and a lot of storm activity kind of going on up in this northern area of the U.S. right now. Now, obviously, we will see rainfall in these southern parts of the U.S. It's summertime, but most of that storm activity is happening up in the northern parts, more in like the northern Midwest, in the Midwest in general, the Ohio Valley, the Northeast, going into the Northwest, going into the Four Corners area, maybe more of those northern areas, rather than us down here in the South receiving most of that shower and most of that storm activity. But watch as we move into around the 18th, going into the 19th, going into the 20th. That ridge no longer over here in the east anymore, moving its way west now. And what do we see over here inside of the east? A divot. What does this divot right here emphasize? That's a trough. So that is a storm system trying to make its way down, the low pressure up here in Canada, and that's going to bring us rainfall. You want to see it actual model here to believe me? This is what I'm talking about. Look at this rainfall that we have starting to develop down here inside of the south and east. But if we push this forward even more, the ridge over there in the west gets big, large, and now areas over there from Texas over into areas of Idaho to Nevada, California starts receiving that dangerous heat, starts receiving not too much rainfall, while we over here in the east start to receive some cooler conditions, start to receive some wetter conditions, and not much in terms of the hot temperatures that we are receiving now. So when I say relief is on the way, this is what I'm emphasizing at. Now, as we go on and push forward even to like the 22nd to 23rd, I mean, that divot in the trough digs down big. And, this could potentially bring some impacts, even further down south, like even down into Florida, down to the Gulf. And that's the reason why we have a low pressure over here where we are potentially bringing us a good amount of rainfall. But look at the difference compared to the east, compared to the west. This is the difference between a ridge and not a ridge with the trough kind of going in. And so I think the main reason why the European and the not ice accumulation, we're not seeing that yet, but I think the main reason why the European and the GEFS is kind of more on the just more on the disagreement side is just because it could potentially just be with the timing in this ridge going away and what we will see once that ridge does go away. And so which one will prevail? Well, only time will tell here at this point. But now it's heat time because we're going to talk about just the actual heat in general. We're going to start off here moving into Wednesday. Wednesday is still going to be hot. Thursday, still going to be hot. It's not until we're going to move into around maybe Friday night going into Saturday that things are going to start to cool down. Here we are Saturday at 2 o'clock p.m. Some areas are below average in terms of temperatures. Yes, some areas are below average in terms of temperatures on Saturday afternoon. That is big. I mean, some areas around 10, if not 11, 12 degrees below average moving into this weekend. That is, again, a big jump from around 20 degrees above average. And so if you move over into Sunday, again, not as warm. Not as warm. But then as we move over into next week, we start to see some areas maybe we're getting close to around 10, 15 degrees, but cooler air just knocks it down again. We get to around Tuesday of next week, going into Wednesday, cooler air definitely prevails. And then as we get into the end of next week, look at this big cool blast that we get. So if you want this heat to get out, I mean, relief is on the way. And I think that it is almost guaranteed that some relief is on the way. Now, how specific will these values here be? Like, I mean, it's a long-term model. It's 300 plus hours out. It's going to be hard to tell. And honestly, we're going to have to wait a little bit longer to see what the exact temperatures will look like and what the overall average temperatures will look like. But one thing that I will say here is that a cool down is on the way, no matter if it, may be a whole lot, no matter if it maybe just be a little bit. We're going to see something here. And so if we go on and take a look at the GFS here in terms of the actual temperatures themselves, Wednesday and Thursday is still hot. Friday is going to be hot as well. But as we go into Friday evening, going into Saturday, highs in the low 90s, maybe some areas in the low 80s. Going into Saturday, Sunday comes in. Sunday, still hot for a good amount of areas, but definitely not as hot. Definitely not as hot. Monday and Tuesday comes in, and it's still summertime heat. The summertime heat is still going to stay, but as we move over later on into the week, watch as we get into Friday. Friday at 2 o'clock p.m. over here of next week, not this week Tuesday, but next week, not this week Friday, but next week Friday. I mean, we could be talking about temperatures down into the 80s for highs, like the low 80s for highs. And then if you want to check out the actual mean temperatures here, this is, past around 200 hours is what it's mainly used for because it's a composite, an average put together. And even as you look at the GEFS here is saying that temperatures will drop as we move later on into August, going on into September. So that signal is there for a lot of models. It really is. So my confidence there is pretty high for when it comes to a cooler air mass moving in. And then finally, one more thing I want to just check out with the heat, and it is just these heat index values, because as we move over into tomorrow, we know tomorrow is going to be 110 to 115 to maybe even some areas 117, 118 degrees tomorrow. It's going to be hot. You move over into Wednesday or so, still up to 110 degrees plus. Thursday, we're still seeing that. And then even as you move into Friday's still going to be pretty hot as well. But Saturday comes in and Sunday comes in, and things definitely calm down. Even as we move into next week, I mean, maybe just the low 100s for heat index values. Not really trying to get us to 110, to around 115 degrees next week potentially. So there's a lot to look forward to after we get out of this week. It's pretty much what I'm trying to say here. And so I really do think that tomorrow is going to be the hottest day, Tuesday. So that's why I've always said make sure you have your water, make sure that you have ways to cool down, and take breaks if you are outside, especially if you're outside during the hottest parts of the day, which I do not recommend. Nothing in the tropics. Obviously, we're good here over in the Atlantic and the Pacific, though. They're still receiving some active conditions right now. You have not hurricane anymore, but tropical storm Lala that just went through Hawaii caused a bunch of damage over there. I've seen a bunch of pictures over there and videos that were sent in from that area, and it was, wasn't really the best. It was a Category 1, so it wasn't the worst of the worst, but still pretty bad damage nonetheless. And that's pretty much all they have to say there in terms of the tropics update. Not too much to really see here. Just due to wind shear, you're not gonna see much. Let me check real quick and see. I don't have any pictures here for me tonight, so we're gonna go on real quick and take a look and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, not 9 o'clock. I'm still saying 9 o'clock. I gotta get myself accustomed. I guess I've been saying 9 o'clock for almost 2 years. That 9 o'clock has just been stuck into my mind. But 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to go on real quick and talk with them. So if you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 8 o'clock p.m. And then also being a subscriber. And so we're going to start off with my Aunt Lula first, who says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Today's high in Georgetown was 97. With humidity, it felt like 100 degrees. Currently, it's 87 as well. So thank you so much, first off, for that weather report. Second off, what's currently going on at my house. Well, right now, it's around 89 degrees. Feels like 105. So it still feels like 105 degrees right now at 8:30 p.m. This is exactly why I was saying no relief at night, pretty much. And even during the evening times, I wouldn't want to try to work out there. It's better than during the daytime, but the morning, that's really when it's going to be the nicest. That's really when it's going to be the coolest. So that's why I've always said do it during the morning, not the evening. But continue our way down. My history for today, 99 degrees was the high temperature today here where I am. And I think that was the forecasted high that I posted earlier. So at least I got that correct for today. That was for my local people here that I do a forecast for. But moving on. Today we did have a hit or miss shower. Hit and miss rain shower. It was very hot. Didn't spend much time outside only to get the mail. I don't blame you. I do not blame you at all. I was outside for a good little bit today, even during the hottest part of the day. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. And it was hot. Regardless, I walked as soon as I got into my car. And turned on that AC, just immediate hot air, immediate hot. What could have been like 130, 140 degree air in my face. It was bad. And it took about 5 minutes for it to finally calm down a little bit. Then my nana says, hello, Jane, all, hello to you. A really nice day after all. And then uh, three of my kids showed for a good little minute. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I worked in the yard early. It was hot at 8:30 in the morning, absolutely. And then I still have to water the plants in the Florida room on my way there. Well, thank you so much for the weather report for where you are, and hopefully, if you are watering them tonight, this evening, hopefully it's not too hot out there right now. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. And then Trail says, greetings, everyone. Thad says, good evening, just from the 360 Weather Family. I trust all is well with everyone. It was another very hot day here in Central Texas. I think we are going to have to start going into reverse operations, sleep during the day and work during the night. We had a high of 104 today, and my grass is getting crispier by the moment. And yeah, I mean, just very unfortunate just to see what's going on over there with that ridge over there, and how that ridge may not try to leave your area even after it moves out of South Carolina just because you're over there in the central U.S. So very unfortunate, very unfortunate. But we're going to talk about your weather and see what you have to see for the next 7 days. Mr. Michael says today was hot as blazes in the low country. Absolutely was. My cousin Cheryl says, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Weatherman. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend, so have an awesome week. And Weatherman, do your thing. Love you all. Well, thank you so much for that comment, and thank you so much for being here for tonight. Tish says, good evening to you as well. And that's all. So I'm going to go on real quick and say the top fan question of the night for tonight. You might be asking, what in the world is the top fan question of the night? It's a question where I ask to see who was paying attention. And if whoever gets the question correct first, will win top fan of the night for tonight. Will win top fan of the night for tonight. So, let's see who was paying attention for when we were talking about the rain totals. When we were talking about the rain totals earlier for the next 24 hours, there was one specific location that had a higher label on the map, meaning more rainfall than every other location. What was that location? Again, what was that location? Again, there was one location on the total precipitation chart earlier that showed, or that at least that displayed, higher rainfall rates than the rest of the areas that are labeled. Again, what area is it? What town or city is it? Again, not like a region like the Low Country, the Upstate, the Midlands, an actual city or town like Lawrence or Columbia or Camden or Sumter or Hilton Head Island, those areas. So whoever can go on to get the city or the town first will win. But while they're going on and answering that, let's go on real quick and take a look at the 4 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking 4 areas. What am I talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. And the reason why we talk about these 4 areas because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly, and because they tune in almost nightly, we're going to give them their forecast for them. So we're going to start off with San Antonio first. Again, this forecast here doesn't take too long. Does not take too long at all. We're going to start off with San Antonio first. Low temperatures tonight at 77. High temperatures tomorrow at 100. Low temperatures tomorrow night at 78. No precipitation over the next 7 days. I do apologize for that. And no severe weather, no excessive rainfall. So you do have at least something good there, but it's just going to continue to be hot and just going to continue to be relentless for you. Just going to continue to be relentless. And honestly, nothing else to say except for you're going to stay hot, you're going to stay dry, and you may have some nights even where you get close to 80 degrees at the low temperature. It may not leave 80 degrees for you some days. Let's see, Grand Strand. Grand Strand, not a valid answer. I need either a city or a town. And Charleston, not Charleston. Not Charleston. We're going to move over to Raleigh real quick. Raleigh, North Carolina, with low temperatures tonight at 76, high temperatures tomorrow at 94, low temperatures tomorrow night at 73, slight chance of thunderstorms for tonight, and then tomorrow, no precipitation tonight, tomorrow or tomorrow night as well. Heat advisory for tomorrow is going to be hot. with heat index values up to around 102 degrees or so. And then just for your future, tomorrow and Wednesday looks dry, but Thursday onward looks pretty active. Now, as you move into next week, things could calm down, but for right now, gonna stay dry for you for Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, what about for severe weather and for excessive rainfall? It does look like right now that you do have a risk of severe weather for tonight. A slight risk of severe weather for scattered, damaging wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour. Not near you yet. Maybe could impact you later on tonight, but for right now, you're in the clear. Past that, you're also good. And if we go in and take a look at excessive rainfall, it looks like that you do not have a risk for the next 3 days, but on Thursday and Friday, isolated flash flooding is possible for you. And now, as we move on to Philadelphia, I don't see any other answers. Again, the question is, what was the area that I called out tonight that had the highest total precipitation totals when we were talking about the 24-hour mark? Even if you don't know the answer, just put in a random city or a random town inside of South Carolina. I mean, there's a good chance that you could get it correct. Again, just any sort of random city or town. Even you don't even have to know what the answer is. As long as you know some cities or towns here, you can guess. We're going to start off and continue on with Philadelphia. Low temperatures tonight at 72. High temperatures for tomorrow at 88. Low temperatures tomorrow night at 69. No precipitation tonight, tomorrow. And you're going to stay pretty good in terms of severe weather. Excessive rainfall wise, you do have a risk of excessive rainfall Thursday and Friday as well. So isolated flash flooding is possible for you. And then in terms of your future, you're going to stay dry all the way through tomorrow and Wednesday, but then Thursday onward, it's going to be pretty active for you. And then temperature-wise, you're going to stay in the 80s for the most part. You could hit 90 on Wednesday, but for right now, staying in the 80s. And then finally, for Duncan, Oklahoma, you have low temperatures tonight at 75, high temperatures for tomorrow at 105, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 74. No precipitation tonight. Tomorrow, chance of shower activity there, and then tomorrow night, slight chance of thunderstorms. So you do actually have a risk of precipitation, and actually, my apologies, that should be flipped. So you do have a slight chance of thunderstorms tonight, and then tomorrow, you have no precipitation that is expected for you. So a slight chance of thunderstorms tonight, and then tomorrow, no precipitation is expected, and then those high temperatures should be 107, the low temperatures should be 78, so it's going to be even hotter tomorrow with highs at 107. 107 as an actual temperature, and those heat index values won't really rise too much. So that's the good part kind of about it, is it's going to be hot around 107 degrees, but those heat index values won't really feel that bad. And honestly, that's about all that I can see here. So let me check out the chat. I don't see any other answers, so I'm assuming that we all yield for tonight. Was not that great of a showing tonight, because I only see around 2 answers here. So I'm going to give you all about like another 30 seconds just to see if anyone wants to try and put something else in. But for right now, I only see 2, unless my computer's acting up. But let's see right now what's going on throughout the entire U.S. in terms of weather news. Severe thunderstorms with heavy rainfall will be possible across the southern Appalachians through this evening. Thunderstorms are also expected from the northern and the central plains into portions of the Midwest through Tuesday. Conway is very close. Conway is very, very close. Like, extremely close. Midwest through Tuesday, and severe storms may produce large hail and damaging wind gusts. Meanwhile, hazardous heat persists across the south and the southeast, pretty much for the next week. And that continues over here. Let's see, anything else? I see some severe weather that's potentially possible as we move over into the future. Starting off with tomorrow, there is a slight risk of severe weather over there for pretty much all ports of Illinois, so from Chicago into Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, even over into Wyoming has a risk of severe weather for tomorrow. Anybody in those areas, let them know. And then day 3, Wednesday, there's another risk of severe weather that goes from North Dakota down through South Dakota, down to Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, and Tennessee, as well as Mississippi and southern Illinois and western Kentucky. So those areas have a risk of severe weather on Wednesday. Anybody in those areas, let them know they have a risk coming in. And then I finally see the answer, Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach was the correct answer for tonight. So my Aunt Lula did win the top fan of the night for tonight. Again, Myrtle Beach was the correct answer. It was around a 1/10 of an inch to a 1/4 of an inch, while everybody else only had a 100th of an inch to a 1/10 of an inch. Congratulations to you for winning the top fan of the night for tonight. If you want to be like Malula and win, you just have to be here, being a subscriber, and then also being active inside the chat, because sometimes I may check and see who maybe sent in a photo, or maybe who sent in the best weather report. You never know. And so we're going to go on real quick and end this out by saying, if you have not hit the like button yet, please go on and do so. Hit the subscribe button as well. We've had around a good 28 people tune in tonight, and we only have 7 likes. So if you're a part of that group of 21 that have not hit the like button yet, please go on and do so. Also hit the subscribe button. We're at 823, trying to get to that main goal of 900. And then share with your friends, your family members, acquaintances, and all the people that you know, even people you don't even like. You never know what could happen. So just send it out, and that's all I have to say. So I will be back tomorrow morning for your Tuesday morning forecast update. Also tomorrow evening for your Tuesday evening forecast update. Make sure that you're there for that, and hit those 2 buttons before you leave if you are new.